Alright, so in this video I think we're going to go over securing the Office 365 tenant with multi-factor authentication, or MFA. Um, MFA or 2FA, there's a couple names for it. Multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication is kind of sort of like the more basic securing that you're going to want to do for your tenant, which basically requires somebody to have like a second factor of authentication, either their a text message code or a app notification via the Microsoft Authenticator app on their phone to approve a login to make it continue. So basically, a user is going to type in their username and password, then they're going to get either a code sent via text or a app notification on the Microsoft Authenticator app, or it can also be via fingerprint or Windows Hello facial recognition for logging into the Windows computer. And we really do, these days, you want multi-factor authentication on for all users. You don't want to have it where users are kind of susceptible to phishing attacks where somebody could get their password in some way and then just be able to log in from anywhere in the world. You want to just have MFA on as sort of your baseline security. So let's get first, we're in the portal, we got our three users. One thing you want to do is make an account that is, they call it like a break glass account. So basically it's like an emergency account that you would use in the scenario where you lost access to your main admin account and you needed to get in, which this is going to be the only account that doesn't have MFA turned on for it. It's going to be excluded from all the policies for MFA that were put in place so that it doesn't have multi-factor authentication on it. It's basically only used in emergency scenarios to get into the tenant so that if you got locked out for some reason, you can get back in. So we're going to make an account, and I recommend everyone does this. We'll call it just Break Glass. Alright. And we can keep it at that, or if you want to make it a little more obscure, you can put it to the on Microsoft. You just got to remember when you're logging in, you need to use whatever you set. And I'm going to generate, you typically want to generate a password that's pretty strong for this. You don't want something that's like going to be something that's weak. Strong password. So you probably want something that's like 20 characters or more. So we're just going to make one strong. And if you want to, you can even add like a little more complexity to it if you want. But you're going to want to like copy this down. Don't put it on a file on your computer. It should be either one, like copied down and then put into a safe that no one can get into, or you're keeping it in like a password manager like a LastPass, or a Bitwarden, like a password manager, a KeyPass, like something, one of those pieces of software that can keep it securely. Or yes, you like printed it out or physically have it written down but put into a safe that's locked away. Like basically you only want to use this account, and the password is so long that it's not going to be cracked. Um, so we'll keep this as our password, and we'll go next. And we're going to create it without a product license because this is just like an admin account. And roles, this is where you can do it after the fact, but we'll give it a global administrator role, so it's like the King Kong user, and it's our break glass account. So we want to make sure we still have that password taken down and put away safely. We're not using this account for anything except for in emergency scenarios. So we have it created, our break glass account. Let's go make a group. And this group we're going to put it under just a normal security group. We're going to call it, and it's, for some reason it switches us, security, and then we're going to go no MFA users. And we're going to go next, create group. And this is where we're going to put our break glass account into, and then I guess any other user that we may want to be exempt from MFA, but typically you want all your users to have MFA on. It's just a very important thing these days to have it on as a business. And we're going to give this a second to get created. And once it gets created, we'll add our break glass account into it. Alright, there we go. Members. So this is how you add members to a group. And just a little overview. Owners are people that can add people to the group. So it becomes a little more relevant with Microsoft 365 groups where you can make somebody an owner, like the owner of a business or the head of a department, and then they can be the owner that adds more members like by themselves without needing like the administrator to do it for them. They can just do it from within the Teams app or within the Outlook app. So but for this we don't really need an owner. We just kind of need to add members, so we just want break glass. That's our emergency account. And yeah, like just to repeat, yeah, you don't want to say put this password on a file or anything on your local computer or anywhere or somewhere where somebody can get a hold of it. You want to kind of keep this as private as possible. With password manager is probably the only place you want to put it that's on a computer somewhere that's meant to hold stuff securely. So that guy is a member. So now we're going to go into, so we got our break glass account made, our no MFA users group made. So we're going to go into Azure Active Directory. So right now, by default, on new tenants and most tenants, there's this setting called security defaults that gets turned on, which is actually pretty good if you have a Microsoft 365 Business Standard license, because you don't have as much features as the premium plan does, where you can kind of do custom stuff like we're about to do. But you would want to keep that on if you had that plan. But security defaults, it's just like a baseline plan that when it's on, it makes MFA turned on for everybody. So you can't really necessarily make a break glass account, and you can't do as much functionality as what we have the availability to us. So let me go into it. So to turn off, we're going to first turn off security defaults, which is it's in the Azure AD portal, and then you go to properties, and then there's manage security defaults, and you can turn this to enable to no, and we're going to give it, because we're going to be using what they call conditional access policies, and we'll hit save on this. So we have security defaults off now, so there's no MFA requirement currently. So we're going to go back into conditional access, which is what we're going to configure now. So conditional access is like you could make policies based off of conditions, and that's why they call it conditional access. Based off of that, you can make policies that when they're met will like require something or block access. So like we'll go through this right now to kind of make it a little bit more, make more sense. So we're going to make this policy called require MFA, and we're going to apply it to all users, and we're going to exclude our break glass. So we have that no MFA users group. We could do the individual user, but it's better, I think, to make a group, because we can just add people to the group and we don't have to come in and adjust this policy and make any mistakes. You can just put people in there. So we have that. So we have include all users, but we're excluding the no MFA user, which includes that break glass account that we made because it's in that group. And cloud apps, so you can do it on, you can make this policy apply to certain apps. So like you could say, like if you only wanted it to apply it to Office 365, which includes, like by reading this, it includes, Teams, Exchange Online, email basically, SharePoint Online, OneDrive, and everything. But usually, typically, I try to do all cloud apps just so it goes into everything. So it kind of like just does the entire, encompasses everything. Conditions. You can do stuff based off a device platform, but I'm not going to use that as a condition in this one. It's going to basically do any device. Client apps, actually we'll go here first. We will do locations you can do. It just used to be, if you're in a hybrid deployment where like you have on-premises stuff, sometimes people like to set trusted locations, so like their static IP will be trusted and not require MFA. So it makes stuff a little more seamless for on-site stuff. But in a full cloud deployment, I wouldn't put any trusted locations in at all because everyone's going to have MFA on. And then configured apps, I uncheck the Exchange Active Sync because we're going to be blocking these in another like in the next policy that we create. We're just doing browser and mobile apps and client apps, which are the modern authentication clients, they call them. So we're done on that. And we're going to go down to the grant access, and we're going to grant access and then require multi-factor authentication. So basically, they're going to get granted access, but it's going to require them to complete multi-factor authentication to get access. So we got this, select, and I understand. Yep. And this is where you got to pay attention because you can lock yourself out if you say if you set up a policy for block access or something like that, or your conditions were set something up that locks you out. But we have our break glass account in place. We don't really care because we're going to get prompted to set up MFA when we log in the next time on our admin account, so we don't really care that much. But yeah, this is where you can possibly lock yourself out. But it goes into report only mode by default, but we want to turn this on so that it starts working. So here we go, it's creating it. So we have our require MFA policy on for that. So we're going to make another one to block legacy authentication. And legacy authentication was like the old, like when you'd use like smtp.office365.com over port, 25 or 587. Those are what they would consider like they called them basic authentication, where it was older clients that did stuff to logged in with that method. So Microsoft recommends turning it off, and it's going to be turned off. And at the end of, I believe, 2022, it's going to be shut off. So this policy is in place to do that. So we're going to apply it to all users, but we're still going to always exclude our break glass no MFA users group so that they aren't affected since it's a break glass account. Client apps applies to all apps. And then we're going to do conditions, client apps. We're going to set it to uncheck these and make sure it's just set to Exchange Active Sync clients and other clients. These are considered the legacy authentication clients. Done. And then we're going to, instead of do a grant, we're going to do a block access so they get denied from even working at all. And then turn them on. And it's just letting us know, I understand, I don't need to exclude this user. We only need our break glass account to be excluded. So legacy authentication will not work with this policy put in place. Done. Okay, so it's in place. So now we have our MFA requirements now. We have our require MFA policy and then our block legacy authentication policy. And just to go through it again, it's basically like include these people and exclude our break glass account. Do it to all Microsoft 365 apps. The only condition I set was modern authentication clients and grant user but require multi-factor authentication. So that's all that really was for that setting. And then to go back to the block one for blocking was, includes all users but excludes the no MFA users. It's for all apps, and the conditions are the basic authentication clients, and it basically does a block on them. So it'll just deny access completely. So we'll go back. Alright, so basically next time we log in we should be prompted to set up MFA. So let's give it a try. I'm just going to go to the Outlook portal, outlook.office.com, and this is what comes up when when a user initially logs in and they're in this when MFA is required, and they'll get this prompt that your organization requires more information. So we'll go next. This is how MFA is set up for a user account, and they'll get this. So we need the password for the account. We'll go sign in. And then it will bring up to say like, hey, get the Microsoft Authenticator app. And let me get my phone real quick. 1 second. 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 1 Alright, I'm back, and I'll get my phone out. I already have the app installed on my phone, and the MFA app, you can get it on Android or iOS. The icon for you, if you just search in the Google Play Store for Microsoft Authenticator or in the iOS App Store, the logo looks exactly like that by Microsoft. It's free. So we'll go next, and then it's asking us in the app, it wants you to select work or school as the type, and then it will be scan QR code. We'll go next, and we'll do work or school, scan a QR code, and then I'm just scanning this QR code on my phone right now. And I scanned it, so on my phone it will add it as your company name, admin at mybiz726.onmicrosoft.com inside the app. So it's in there. I'm going to hit next, and it's going to prompt on my phone. So right now it has an approved sign-in request on my phone, and I'm hitting approve right now. So now it's going to be married up to my account once it realizes that I did it. There we go. So now, and this is like a secondary method, just in case. So let me set up, I'll put in my phone number. And next. It's just sending me a code. Let me grab it real quick. Here we go. 491052. Good. So that should, there we go, SMS verified, and done. So now MFA is set up for my admin account. So that's the users, any user in the organization has the exact same experience. It looks exactly the same to that. But typically I'll have the users set it up during, like, say when they are given their device, and they'll be setting up Windows Hello, which is like the Windows multi-factor authentication, which we'll go over. But they'll get prompted there with that same type of prompts that we just got during there. But it just makes it a little more seamless than having to go to a site to go do it. So let me just check. We can check under here to see, like, for our account, what our authentication methods are. So currently it's set to, it'll set the Microsoft Authenticator as our main one. So let's try, one thing we can do is I'll open up an incognito under Chrome, and we'll go to outlook.office.com, and we'll do admin at mybiz726.onmicro.com, and it should give us the prompt, and this is what it looks like when the MFA is going through. And it's approved the sign-in, and on my phone it's asking me, do you want to approve this sign-in? So I'm going to hit approve on my cell phone app, and it comes up just kind of like, like a text message comes in. Approve, and there we go, and it should approve it. Yep, and I'll just do no to stay signed in. And that's kind of how the MFA works. It basically just prevents somebody from, if they just have your password, from getting in. They also have to have that second factor, which is your cell phone, to approve the login. So yeah, that's basically MFA, and setting it up to secure your whole tenant, and also to make an emergency account just in case you need to get in an emergency. Alright, so yeah, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in a bit.